Nigeria, USA fight for Hushpuppi's custody from Dubai. The arrest this week of a Nigeria Instagram celebrity has pitted Nigeria detectives against their counterparts from the United Arab Emirates and the United States. Nigeria and the US launched the battle for the possession of Ramon Abbas, aka Hushpuppi, following his arrest and detention by Emirate authorities earlier this week. According to two officials familiar with the development, immediately we got confirmation that he had been arrested in Dubai. We all started fighting to get him, a senior Nigerian detective told us. He is the subject of multiple and conflicting interests between Nigeria and the United States. Officials said the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, has been leading America's effort to take possession of Mr. Abbas because many of those he allegedly scammed in years of advance fee fraud were Americans. Officials could not immediately estimate the financial value of Mr. Abbas' alleged fraud, citing poor cooperation from Dubai authorities, but they expressed confidence his exploit spans across Europe, USA, and Nigeria. Mr. Abbas' arrest was first rumored on Nigeria's social media Tuesday, but was unable to official corroboration until Friday. Even then, two officials who confirmed knowledge of the arrest and offered preliminary information elected not to do so on the record, fearing that American officials could jettison back channel negotiation that began on Thursday morning. We also agreed not to identify both officials because their request satisfied its policy on anonymous sources. Nigerian officials said UAE authorities have frustrated all their attempts to obtain more than a cursory account of Mr. Abbas' arrest, including when and where he was held. They are even reluctant to tell us the preliminary charges that they have against him, so we could weigh them with the charges that we have against him in Nigeria. One of the officials said, "We know that the money involved will be much for the Americans, but we are optimistic that we will prevail in bringing him to Nigeria to face trial." The police in Dubai did not return an email seeking comment from us. An email to the Interpol was also not returned for several hours on Friday. Umar Gabar, Nigeria head of Interpol, did not return requests seeking comment from us. A telephone number for the FBI in Dubai repeatedly entered voicemail on Friday evening. It was unclear whether Mr. Abbas has contacted a lawyer as of Friday evening. Our law enforcement sources said they were left to assume that since Mr. Abbas' Instagram page, which frequently saw a wall of posting that carefully molded an opulent image of him, has seen no activity for the past 1 week, then his arrest must have come around the time rumor on social media. A second official told us that even though Mr. Abbas was not declared wanted in Nigeria and not on Interpol red notice, his activities have been regularly analyzed by detectives in Nigeria and abroad. He is not on the wanted list, but his arrest is of interest to both the USA and Nigeria, the official said. Nigeria authorities have begun tracking individuals within the country with suspect ties to Mr. Abbas, even though he has for years used his Instagram fame, over 2.3 million followers as of this week, to cultivate a symbol of wealth and envy on social media. Little has been learned of Mr. Abbas' background. Many of his followers acknowledge benefiting from his occasional cash giveaways, even though his source of affluence, which has no long invoked curiosity of bloggers, remained unclear. Mr. Abbas appeared to be the highest profile Nigerian to be arrested so far in 2020, months after several noted Nigerians, including Obion Werne, Okenke, and Ismail Amofa, were arrested in August and October 2019, respectively, for their alleged roles on separate multinational fraud charges, while Mr. Okeke and others set off about 80 Nigerians were arrested in the US and charged there. Mr. Monfa was reportedly friend with Mr. Abbas, was arrested in Lagos by Nigeria Anti-Graft EFCC and slammed with multiple charges of financial crime to the tune of 33 billion naira or $85 million. Ibrahim Mago, EFCC's top chief, told Lagos-based TVC on Friday that his agency had no prior involvement in Mr. Abbas's case. We are yet to be involved in the case of Hushpuppi, Mr. Mago said, noting that Emirati authorities were yet to provide information on his arrest to warrant EFCC's cooperation. Nigerian officials admitted that the bulk of proceeds of Mr. Abbas' alleged fraud might have come from Americans, but Nigeria has a tenable interest in the case because his alleged co-conspirators live in Nigeria. We are not sure yet of the amount they are being accused of stealing, an official said, but we want our friends in the US to know that many of his associates are in Nigeria, and we will ensure equitable sharing of all forfeiture arising from the case. EFCC not involved in the arrest of Hushpuppi, said Mago. The acting chairman of the anti-graft agency EFCC has reacted over the arrest of popular Nigeria Instagram celebrity Rahman Abbas, popularly known as Hushpuppi. Hushpuppi was reportedly arrested in Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates, UAE, alongside his colleagues by International Police Interpol and the Federal Bureau of Investigation FBI for alleged fraud. But in an interview on TVC News, journalist Hangout on Friday, Mr. Magu said the commission is yet to be involved in the case. He said, "We are yet to be involved in the case of Hushpuppi, but if they happen to give us these things, details, we would assist." He also said the FCC is not all about arrest and prosecution of internet fraudsters, but also involved in rehabilitating the suspects. We are not all about arresting, prosecuting, and chasing of internet fraudsters and taking away the proceeds of their crime, but we are also trying to see whether we can rehabilitate them because most of these boys are either undergraduate or graduate from higher institution, so they can be better people to our country. The menace of Yahoo boys is also a cause of concern. We are collaborating with other law enforcement agencies. Yahoo boys have an association with their mothers who do not feel what the children are doing is a crime. Actually, it is called the Yahoo Yahoo Mother Association, a situation where the mother will go abroad and the child will stay there and help them siphon funds from credit card fraud. So we are doing everything possible to arrest the situation, he added.